Good morning, everybody. So it's about 8:30, and I had not a great night's sleep. I'm going to be honest. I got woken up quite a few times, but that's okay. I will survive. And so I got the video edited last night, but didn't get it uploaded, so I ended up doing that this morning. And now I'm about to make some breakfast and start packing everything up as the sun gets a little higher and really starts to heat up. So it's kind of a race against the sun to see if I can get everything packed up before it gets really hot. So just a beautiful morning out here on the river. And the water, I forgot to put a stick out last night, but it seems like it's dropped another couple inches. So it's getting pretty low. So, and it's not supposed to rain for another week probably. So I don't think I'm going to have any issues with water level for the rest of the trip, which is pretty nice. Okay, so everything's nearly packed up. I'm working on breakfast. So for breakfast, I have Rocky Mountain Scramble and berry yogurt parfait along with coffee. So I'm going to get everything finally packed up, get this on the water, and then enjoy breakfast. So the cool thing is that there's a dredge in operation right down the river from me, and the capital is still there from last night, so pretty cool. So it's about 9:30, the boat is finally loaded, and I'm about ready to head out. So one thing that I love about being able to camp on these sandbars is just the ability to leave no trace. So you can see where my tent was and the tarp. There's a bunch of footprints, and that's literally the only sign I'm leaving that I slept an entire night here. So I really enjoy that part of this trip, is just being able to stay along the river and not leave any sight. The next rainstorm and this will be completely gone. No trace. So, the leave no trace, nothing but footprints. So definitely something I enjoy being able to do. So I'm going to push off and head through Jeff City. First order of the day is to get across the river quickly, because there's a dredge running just downstream, and it's got a towboat right next to it about to swap out sand barges. So want to get away from that. So I'm going to get all the way across the far shore just to give them plenty of room to do their thing. So the dredge has been running all morning, but it just stopped operation because it just finally filled the barge up with sand, and it's in the process of replacing it with an empty one. So that's pretty cool, but it does mean that the towboat that's been sitting right next to the barge is actually in operation now, right as I go past. So not really a big deal, it just makes a little more waves. It's kind of an interesting operation. They have to switch out the loaded barge with the empty one with one boat without really moving too much. So it looks like they nose up the empty barge above the full sand barge, which is on the other side of the towboat there, and then they'll unhook and hook up to the full one and slide it out the back end. So pretty cool little operation. And this is one of the dredges that just pumps water onto the barges, but doesn't look like it's going to be pumping as I go by, since they're in the middle of a barge swap. It's kind of interesting. Last time I went through here, they were sorting out the gravel and the sand, like one barge on each side, but at the moment they just seem interested in sand, and I'm guessing all the gravel is just being put back in the river. So pretty cool. I guess there's just not a demand for gravel right now, or it's just cheaper to get it from a quarry rather than pull it out of the river. There's what I believe is a Black Hawk. Big old helicopter. Well, that is the Kathy Lee dredge. That is pretty neat. I never thought about it, but that is a extremely tall dredge, and I wonder if they have trouble getting under the bridges. They must, so they might be able to only travel downriver or when the water's low. So you can see that the barge up here is tied at the front, kind of at a 45-degree angle, and the towboat down below is unhooked and is now hooking up to the loaded sand barge. That's pretty cool. He's just slowly drifting in behind the loaded barge. There's a little wing dam here. I'm going to tuck in behind it as the towboat gets this sand barge out and turned around and heading down river, just so I'm not in its way. Kind of interested to see it turn the barge around. Unless it doesn't, it's not going very far. It is really cool to see a barge just flip around in the current. The Allison Marie. That was really cool to see. Coming up on the Highway 63 bridges, and I don't know if you can see, but the towboat down there is doing another turn because the sand facility is just on the other side here. But I plan to stop at the boat ramp here right below the bridge, just because I've never actually been here before. Drove across this bridge hundreds of times, if not thousands, and never been to the boat ramp below it. So here's the boat ramp at Jeff City. Okay, so the boat ramp's right there, but I pulled up on this sandy beach just because it's easier on the boat usually rather than concrete. The Capitol is right there, which is pretty cool. It's pretty noisy underneath these bridges. And this boat ramp is called Joe Wilson's Serenity Point. So hopefully I'm getting this correct, but Joe Wilson was a Missouri River paddler who spent a lot of time working on this park and just helped create this amazing little park here. And he passed away in 2016, but I believe he was a part of getting all of the state flags here. So there's a state flag for every state that the Missouri River goes through, which is really cool. And he passed away in 2016, and this place was later named after him. So a very cool piece of river paddlers history here. So there's mile marker signs here. I doubt the camera can pick it up, but it says Wilson Serenity Point, and Three Forks, Montana is 2,197 miles upstream. And it says New Orleans is 1,197 miles downstream, and St. Louis is 158 miles to go. So just shows a bunch of the cities that I passed through and how many miles away they are, which is really cool. Kansas City is 223 miles upstream from here, and Herman is 45 miles. So really cool. So this bench is in memory of Joe R. Wilson, 1942 to 2016. Joe Wilson Serenity Point at Norin Access. See you at the river. So this is definitely a very cool spot, but on a more personal note, there's trash and a vault toilet. So I'm going to grab my trash, get rid of that, and go over to these vault toilets real quick, and then keep heading down the river. So this is the Pat Jones pedestrian bike lane. So there's a massive structure over here that gets the bicycles up to the bridge and across the river. So that's pretty neat. So after doing a little research on Facebook, I think he wasn't actually a river paddler. He just was a river angel and helped a lot of the paddlers in the past. Okay, I'm gonna launch and get going down the river past Jeff City. So these are the US 63 highway bridges, as I said earlier. Finally gonna be passing underneath them. Jefferson City is a very noisy place. There's an Amtrak going by. So, not very many passenger trains in the US, so that's pretty cool. So Jefferson City is the state capital of Missouri, and one of the more interesting facts about it is the capital is right next to the river. So pretty cool to see it so close. So it's not quite as exciting personally because I do see it quite often. So in high school I actually got a tour of the Capitol, and I was able to go all the way up to the top, and there's kind of a walkway balcony right at the tip there underneath the statue that I can't remember who's at the top, but yeah, I was able to go all the way up there, which was really cool. So on the other side of the river from the Capitol is Capitol Sand Company, and this is where they're unloading the sand that went by earlier. So it's all that dust down there looks like they're unloading a barge of something farther downriver, and this is also where they unload all of the sand that they pull out. So it's a quite large operation here. There's a lot of barges here, and there's quite a few other barges stored just below the bridge. So that's actually 4 barges wide right there. So a lot of barges. It's probably the most I've seen in one place on the entire trip. It is. So there's just a lot going on here on this whole section. And there's the Missouri State Capitol. Again, it's still pretty cool. Well, I'm honestly not too upset about getting past Jeff City. That was a lot of noise last night and this morning, and I'm happy to get back to a calmer section of river. Look, a softball. So it's currently a little after 11. There's a bunch of sticks in the water. Other than that, it's pretty calm, somewhat quiet. There's still a lot of airplanes flying over, but one of the locals there at the Jeff City ramp told me that there's a air show this weekend, so that's partly why there's so many planes flying overhead. So that's pretty neat. And other than that, it is just another completely still day. There's just no wind. So I can't believe it that I've had like 3 days of almost zero wind right now. It's pretty crazy. It does make it a little bit warmer, but it also means there's no headwinds, so I'll take it. Well, there's one of the very few snags in Missouri. There's probably the third one I've seen out kind of near the main channel. So this one definitely wouldn't want to hit it, but this is just barely sticking out of the water. Whoa, I don't know if that was a Cory blast or what it was. It had to be, I guess, but that was a very loud explosion, and I felt like the thud from it. So that was pretty crazy. There was a pow, and then a thud went through. So that was pretty close. I wonder if there's a Cory on the other side of that hill. But according to Google Maps, there's actually a jail right on the other side of that hill. So I don't know what that was. So I'm at mile marker 136. There's a small bluff here, and this wing dam here is just covered in flood debris. The whole thing just has massive piles of it. So pretty interesting. I wonder why this one is in particular so bad. That is a lot of just trees caught here, and a fridge. So, you know, if you're ever in need of some doorless fridges, come down to the river. That one's actually a 2-door. You can see the refrigerator and freezer doors are vertical on that one. They're both gone, but it was originally like that. So I'm heading down the river, passing by just another big massive pile of trees, flood debris. And this one has 3 buoys sticking out of it. So that's kind of interesting. And other than that, just it's just still completely calm, no air movement, and just heading downriver. So it's a little after 1:30. So for lunch, I have the cold weather MRE menu number 6 seafood chowder. So you do have to boil water to rehydrate a Mountain House meal for this. So I'm gonna eat everything else except for the main entree, and then either stop and break out the stove, boil some water, and rehydrate it, or just wait till this evening. So we'll just see how hungry I get. Okay, so there's some really beautiful cliffs coming up. But the other interesting thing is right here is the confluence of the Osage River. So that is very cool. As soon as I get around this point right here, I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is the confluence of the Osage River. It is a pretty good sized river, and this is the one that I wanted to kayak down kind of as a test run this spring before this trip, but I ended up injuring my knee and it didn't happen. So at the top of the Osage River is the Lake of the Ozarks and the Bagnell Dam, and that's where they dammed up the Ozark River into the Lake of the Ozarks. And Truman is above the Lake of the Ozarks. So there's a lot of lakes there, but they're a lot farther south. So this is a river that runs almost completely north, which is pretty rare and pretty interesting. So there's a lot more water being added to the river right here. That is for certain. You can kind of see here the muddy water of the Missouri is mixing in with the slightly cleaner water of the Ozark River. So pretty interesting. You can just see the big plumes of muddy water as they just slowly mix together. So I said the Ozark River, it's actually the Osage River. I'm not sure how many times I missaid that. So the Osage River, very, very cool. And now I'm just gonna continue downstream, just like normal. So there's a mile marker sign there next to the river marker, and it says 130.0. So definitely getting closer. And just some beautiful cliffs here. And the trees that are just barely clinging on to the rock faces are already starting to change their colors for fall. They're always the very first ones because they don't really have any dirt. They're just growing out of cracks in the cliff somehow. And in the very distance there, I doubt the camera can honestly pick it up, but I can see the cooling tower of the Callaway power plant, which is pretty interesting. It's a nuclear powered plant. So I've been able to see that cooling tower with the steam coming out of it for a good portion of my life in the horizon. So it's just kind of a part of life down here. And very cool to see it again. Another just really cool bluff. Well, there are some pretty good bluffs through this section, and the colors are actually starting to change a little bit more. So it seems like day by day things are starting to change. So that is pretty interesting. It's definitely going to be nowhere near the peak fall colors on this trip, but still enjoyable. And again, there's just still no wind today. Almost no air movement. Just completely still and pretty hot. It's in the like almost 90, I think. So it seems after the Osage River dumps in, the river has really widened out and slowed down, at least for this section. I'm sure it'll narrow up again around corners and stuff, but right now it is very wide. Goes all the way across, and very pretty out here. So a beautiful cliff and a nuclear cooling tower right in the distance. It's always pretty cool to see these trees bouncing up and down in the current. It'll be 6 inches up and then it'll go underwater again and then like that. Just a lot of current to be moving these trees like that. And other than that, just continuing down the river. We're away from the bluffs for now, and there's just massive trees along each side of the river. So there's the Osage Creek dumping into the Missouri River. So that's pretty interesting. I drive over the Osage Creek quite often for work. So pretty cool. And I'm coming up on the town of Portland. I think I'm about 6 miles away. And Portland has a little bar and grill that I'm pretty excited about getting a burger from. And then I plan to just keep going down the river to hopefully a really nice island just a couple miles down from Portland. Okay, so I'm passing by the town of Chamois. I think I'm saying that right. I don't really know. And it's at mile marker 118. There's a boat ramp here, but not really any reason to stop. So I'm just going to keep going. So I've got, like I said, I don't know, about 5 miles to Portland roughly. So gonna try to get there at a reasonable time, get a burger, and keep going. I'm looking forward to it. Gotta say, I'm pretty tired. So I've just been kind of drifting for a good portion of today, along with the current, because I'm just pretty much exhausted. But I'm gonna try to push out these last couple miles, get some food, and get hopefully to the sandbar I want to get to quickly, and set up my tent and go to bed early is kind of my plan. So hopefully that'll work out, because I am extremely tired. I was woken up so many times last night. So coming up ahead is a water intake. I've passed hundreds of these on the trip, but I happen to know that this one is for the Callaway nuclear plant. So that is really cool. So the plant's actually over 4 miles away, but this is where they draw water out of the river for the plant. Okay, so here's the water intake. A little bit closer, you can hear some massive pumps running inside that building. And there's a bit of a pier here, which I believe sometimes when the plant needs large parts, they'll barge them up the river. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool little water intake. So the exciting thing is that I'm only about a mile upstream from Portland. So I think what I'm going to do is call the bar and grill there and hopefully get my food started, and I'll just order it to go. So hopefully I can just walk up there and grab it. Okay, food is ordered. I'm pretty excited about it. So all I gotta do is pedal another mile, go stop there, walk up, get my food, and hop back on the water. Hopefully I'll be able to set up camp pretty early. I'm looking forward to this. So this is one of the steeper boat ramps. I remember trying to pull my boat up this last time and it was horrible. So I'm going to hopefully just leave the boat here at the bottom tied up and head up and grab my food and come right back. So I don't know if the camera picks it up very well, but this thing is crazy steep. Okay, so I got the boat pulled up next to the boat ramp, which took longer than I'm willing to admit, because it's kind of a pain. The water's doing a little bit of a swirling action there in front of the boat ramp, but I got it done, and now I'm gonna head up to this little bar and grill and grab some food. So the other cool thing is that Portland has the kiddie trail running right through it. Yeah, so this is the Portland Trailhead on the Katy Trail State Park. So the Holtzhauser Bar and Grill. Pretty busy on a Friday night. Okay, so I'm walking back to the boat. So I ended up ordering 2 burgers. Do I need 2 burgers? Definitely not, but I'm gonna really enjoy them. So I'm gonna get back in the water, start snacking. I think it's about 3.5 miles down to my camp spot for the night, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, well there's the boat ramp, and I'm off back down the river. So that was a quick pit stop. Worked out really well. Now that is pretty exciting. Okay, so this is Tate Island, not Tadpole Island. So I misread that. You can tell I'm tired. I've gotten quite a few names wrong today. So I'm looking forward to setting up camp early. It's currently 6:30. So I'm gonna get camp set up and get my bed made, and then I'll work on possibly editing a video. I still have a hard time saying that. Editing a video. And then, yeah, I'll just see how far I get, and whatever I don't get done, I'll do in the morning. So this island is several miles long, the big one, and it's separated into like 3 separate little islands with small channels running in between them. But behind me is just absolutely beautiful. That is a really cool sunset. So here's one of the channels that runs through the island, or I guess it's islands, but it's all called Tate Island, I believe. And it just runs over to the back channel there that runs back into the river about a mile down. So there's a big wing dam here to force all the water across the river towards this outside corner. And on the other side of this, there should be a pretty good size sandbar to stay on. I'm kind of excited because I remember last time I camped here on my last trip, and I remember thinking that this might be the only time in my entire life that I would camp there on this island. And turns out it's not going to be. It only took another 2 years before I'm back here. So a good number of the wing dams have been eaten by the river, and this is all they look like. There's just some ripples in the water because there is a wing dam there, just it's not above the surface anymore. So the water rushes over it and kind of goes crazy on the bottom side. So usually they make some pretty good like water noises, and they're pretty easy to hear and avoid. Just one of the things you gotta avoid while going down the river. And just a absolutely beautiful sunset. So there's another water channel here that cuts through to the other side. And here behind this wing dam here is a really nice little sandbar. So the interesting thing is it's behind the old wooden pilings. So you actually have to slip between them to get to the sandbar, which is really cool. So here's how you get to the sandbar. There's just like 2 options right here in between these wood pilings. So you just have to avoid all of the lumber or driftwood that is stuck in them. Okay, so I've landed here at the boat ramp. So now I just have to get off without falling. And the boat is just in between these pilings. Pull it up on shore. Whew. So I made a lot of Canadian geese angry. There was probably about 50 of them that took off when I pulled in here. But other than that, this is a beautiful place. Okay, so there's one of the prettiest sunsets I've ever seen. And I've got the camera recording it here. And now I've got to get all of this stuff out of the boat onto shore and into a tent. So pretty normal stuff, but it does take a while. So it is really cool to know that these pilings used to be about 15 feet tall and wrapped together with cables, and that they were drove sometime in the 1940s, most likely. So they have been here for a very long time. And they just run all the way down this island. Okay, so the tent is set up. Now I just have to shove all my stuff in there. So I'm slowly getting camp set up. I'm surprisingly very tired after eating a bunch of food, as usual, so I'm having a hard time moving quickly. Okay, so the sun is setting. I have all of my stuff that I need in the tent tonight. And I might not get the video edited tonight. I am extremely tired, so we'll just see. I need to start shifting my sleep schedule anyways, so I might just try to go to bed as early as possible and wake up in the morning and do it, even though trying to edit a video while waking up is not my favorite thing to do, but I'll survive. Okay, so it's the next morning. I pretty much just went straight to bed. So now I'm sitting here editing the video and enjoying the sunrise. So with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.